What's good, y'all? Today I'm going to be doing a beat breakdown of This Ain't a Thing, track 5 off of Marr Grey's recently released project called Starter Forever. I co-produced this one with the homie YLX, so y'all make sure y'all go follow him on his social media sites. It's going to be listed in the description below. But yeah, so I'm just going to be breaking down YLX's initials, not his initials, YLX's initial session that he sent me, and then I'll talk you through my thought process and just going about how I can make what he sent me just a little bit more fluid, a little more smoother, because it was already good initially. But I just wanted to add my little flair and all that good stuff to it. So I'm going to start off with the first session, his session, and then we're going to transition over to my session, or the mixed final version of the song. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to go sound by sound and then try to explain to you what I was thinking as I initially went sound by sound within the session. So all of this is YLX is doing, which is pretty dope. So let's go ahead and get started. So first and foremost, the melody is so crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and play it for you guys. Y'all, when I tell y'all, the moment I heard that, so I'm a person who's heavily inspired by like R&B, gospel, chord progression. So the moment I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, I got to work on that. So I kept that, and you'll see in the final session that I kept that, but made some slight adjustments to the latter end of the melody, or the latter end of the note section here. Moving on from that, we have this sound keys Titan, which is essentially playing the same melody, just a different sound selection. Okay, so again, the sound is cool. The sound preset is cool. However, you'll see in the other session, I wanted to go for something else slightly more smoother and a little bit more ambient, because what I did was I added a pad underneath the primary melody, just to again, for lack of a better word, smoothing things out. So, but just for right now, I'm going to keep that, and then onto the 808s. Some hi-hat action going on. Okay, I'm just going to stop the music right now just to say, if you don't know this already, YLX is super, super dope with the drums. And I wanted to keep essentially all of his drums that he did. The only thing I really did was just change out certain sounds. But as far as like the pattern itself, for this, like some of these hi-hats, I didn't touch it at all, because he's so good with those. So. Okay, so as you can already hear, it's a pretty good beat, I think, at least. As it is right now, it already has a good bounce to it. But again, at this point, it was just my turn, I guess, to just add some add some filler, for, again, lack of better phrasing, because I can't talk today. So let's go ahead and transition over to the final session. Okay, so we're in the final session now. I'll try my best to break down everything as clear as I can. So let's go ahead and continue. Again, I kept YLX's main melody, main chord progression, and then the main sound, which is this key slump. I wanted to keep this one because since it's so harsh, I knew I could easily contrast that and add or create something smooth to bounce off of this. So I use this sound as the intro, the key slump here. But then you'll see as we go into the verse, I introduce two new sounds that kind of differentiates greatly from the slump sound. So anywho, again, I kept the chord progression like I said, but then just changed up a few notes in the final few measures here. So go ahead and play you that. Okay, and I love that descending kind of note pattern here. I really wanted to emphasize these few notes, the G, the F, E, and the A, because it sounds so clean, especially with another sound that I'm going to introduce in a few minutes. But yeah, so got that, and then just the duplicates with some slight variations again to the ending few measures there. Okay, so again, like I said, because that sound is kind of harsh in tone, I wanted to counteract that with something more smooth. So I added a few little tricks, here and there. Some like especially this left filter here. I love using this filter. I created a preset for it, and you'll see why. Let's see if I could just solo this for a second. Okay, so from the intro going into the verse with this sound in particularly, I put a tape stop effect on it, so it's going to have this like a slow down kind of effect before it hits into the verse. And once it goes into this verse, I automated the love filter and then the reverb for it, so it's going to have this like womp 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 side chain kind of pattern with it. So I'll just play it for you instead of talking. I just turned the effects on for it. That's what that was. Okay, so once I had that, this was the very first thing that I did, the very first change that I made. I was like, okay, I can easily build off of this. So in building off of that, I added this pad. It's the preset is called Fusion from Omnisphere. All of these are Omnisphere, by the way. And the presets are in parentheses. So I essentially built off of the chord progression that Wirelex had. Just drag the chords out instead of having it play like an arpeggiator. So here's the pad. Very full. Okay, and plugin effect wise, I just have an EQ on it, or EQ, a compressor, and some reverb and a stereo imager to make it sound a little bit more wider. So I'm going to play you those two sounds together. Okay, and then onto what's probably my favorite part in this entire beat are these lush keys. So again, I use a different sound, but this sound is so like ambient and graceful. Again, lack of better words to describe it. Played the same melody that YLX had, but then you would just hear it. It just sounds so cool. I love it so much. And then I think this is just the same thing, a duplicate of it. So once that comes in along with the pad and the keys, I mean, you couldn't tell me nothing at this point. Okay, so at this point, I'm in good position along with YLX's drums. I don't have to do too much to it. All I have to really do is just like add a little bit of breakups within the drum pattern here and there, and go from there. Okay, so moving on to the drums now. Like I said earlier, I practically kept everything how YLX had it. I just maybe swapped out a few sounds here and there, like this snare for instance. I swapped it out with something a little bit more punchy and in your face. I added this clap, these snaps for the little breakdown section or the hook, this wood block with a lot of reverb on it, and then this percussion loop just to add another layer to the drums. Cool, so I'm gonna go ahead and play you the verse with the drums, and then I'll just visually show you the drum patterns. And with these, I just maybe added a few slides here and there.
Feel the devil getting close on me. I pray God is working for me.
Okay, so mixing wise for these drums, didn't do too much. The sausage fattener, it worked, but now it doesn't. So I'm just going to mute that and just have a compression on the 808. Kick, I have nothing. The hi-hats all have EQs and compressors on them, but just slight EQing. Open hat, same deal with the snare. I added a reverb onto it just to make it more spacey, I guess. The snap, same thing with the reverb, and then again a lot of reverb on the wood block. So moving into the hook, I think the only real difference is I took out the kicks, I believe. I may be wrong though. Nope, okay, I kept the kicks, but I removed this main snare and swapped it with these snaps. And then I switched up some of the hi-hat patterns just to make it a little bit more bare rather than constantly, you know. For this, I just wanted it to be a more like smooth, swaying back and forth kind of deal. So yeah, I left this section of the song very open in terms of the drums. Okay, but also with the percussion loop, I added a gross beat to it, and you can see the automation down here. If I can find it, with this preset. Again, I don't remember which sound bank this preset's in, but it just added a cool little bounce to the percussion loop in itself. So I have that going on during the hook. That's pretty much it, I think, in terms of this beat. A lot of it is just repetition, but the drums, as you hear, are pretty much the same. I'll go into drums 4. I'm not sure where this one is. Probably just looks like more variation slightly. I couldn't tell you visually what it is, but it's probably in the hi-hat somewhere. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for sticking around. If you stuck around this long, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and have a good one.